Hi guys, you know the face, you know the name. Bobby here, back again. Another episode on the No Beef podcast. Second episode of the Bobby and Lizzie Black History Month episodes. So today what we're going to talk about is interracial dating. As you can see, Lizzie's a black female. As you can see, I'm a black male. And we live in a country that is dominated by white people. But it does have a nice mix. It is quite diverse. But the topic today will be interracial relationships. So, Lizzie, ladies first. So, if you like to discuss what race your partner is.
Of course. So my partner is white. I'm like fully Scottish.
When you say fully Scottish, what do you mean?
So like just in the sense of like because he could be white and have grown up, I don't know, like Mexico or something. You know what I mean? Like he's white and fully Scottish. But when I say that, his I think actually on his mum's side, there is a bit of Danish actually.
Oh, okay. Scandinavian.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. But both of his parents, like his immediate parents, are Scottish. So yeah. And what about you?
So my wife is half Scottish, half Algerian. So she's a mix. So she's actually North African. So very cultured.
Yeah.
Yeah, obviously there's a Scottish side of her. She grew up in Scotland, so you know. So I mean, on her mum's side, she would be Scottish, and then on her dad's side, it would be the Algerian thing. The thing that we talked about last time about when we're British when we leave our house, but we're African when we're in the house and stuff like that. Yeah. So how did you guys meet?
So me and my partner met. Oh Christ, where did we? So at my old work. So he currently still works there. Okay. And I was actually looking for a new flatmate, and he was like, "Oh well, I need to like move out of where I'm at the moment." So he moved in, and then it was just a match made in heaven, eh? But yeah, no, he's great, and we've been together like 3 years, something like that. And yeah, I think when it comes to being like an interracial couple, I guess we've never really thought about it or like acknowledged it that much.
Okay, right. I'm going to stop you there. Okay, now I'm going to ask you the question. Okay, you're black, he's white. Okay. Now, there are going to be scenarios that you both come into. Okay, or you might be at scenarios that you're exposed to. So, in this very sensitive time at the moment, talk to me. How have you came across any moments like this for racism, discrimination? Have you processed conversations and any thoughts with each other?
That's a very good question. You know what? Not really up until recently. So, I mean, I always spot like when we get stared at in the street, whether that's by black folk or white folk. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like, I don't know about you, but I feel like I'm just more attuned to it. Like, if I see someone staring, I know exactly why.
Why?
You know
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. So I think, and he never really noticed it until like I think I pointed it out maybe about a year or so ago just to see if he had noticed anything like that. And he was like, "Oh no, not really." And ever since he's like, "I see it everywhere." And I'm like, "Yeah, man, it's because for some weird reason 2020 where it's still like something to stare at when you see a black person and a white person together."
Let's not even say 2020, Lizzie. I mean, it's been, it's been happening before us.
Well, that's it.
Do you know? And you know, like, I think it's interesting. You know, people have a preference, and it doesn't matter if you're black and white, Michael Jackson. But seriously, that actually doesn't matter if you are Asian, Thai, East European, whatever in the world. I think it's all about preference, you know. And I think, you know, because we live in Scotland, we are not to say more likely. This is my opinion, and my opinion only. you are going to see more white people. So you're going to see more white males. I'm going to see more white females. And there's a good chance majority of them are going to be Scottish, you know. My next question is to you is, does it bother you? Obviously, it doesn't bother you, because obviously we're used to it with the racism and stuff. But does it bother you when people look at you and your partner?
Not anymore. So as you were saying, like, we've been brought up in a very white majority place, so like a lot of my ex-partners have been white. And it used to bother me. Like, it used to, but now
Why?
I feel like just because the only reason they're staring is because I'm black. You know what I mean? Or because you're black, that's why they're staring at you, you know?
They're probably staring at your partner to be like, you do know she is black.
Right though. You're right. But honestly, it honestly doesn't bother me anymore at all. I kind of just can't, I just shrug it off. Like, it's, you know what I mean? I can't waste my time thinking about it. You know what I mean? I don't know about you. How do you feel when people are...
Do you know what? I'm the same as you. Do you know what? I obviously have a personality, right? So when I know people are staring because I'm black, I smile at them. You know, how you going to hate someone that's happy, right? But yeah, no. Obviously, when me and my wife walk around, even before she was my wife, we used to get stared at all the time. I used to elbow her and be like, look, look, look. And do you know, so my wife basically knew from the get-go, because she had it herself when she was growing up.
Yeah.
She got racism, so she knew what they were looking, but it didn't bother us. I think what basically made us a bit more like wow is when we walked down Princess Street one day, holding hands, and on a Saturday afternoon, you know, where people go do their shopping and whatever, browsing, you know, we walked the whole of Princess Street and we were getting stared at. But we weren't just getting stared at, we were getting stared at by not people older than us. You know, yeah, which is quite interesting, you know.
It is.
Yeah, it was quite interesting. You know, and I used to think to myself, right, I know they're not staring at my new trainers, they're not staring at my jacket or that, but no, I'm playing. But no, I knew what they were staring at. I think what was interesting is that when you look at my wife properly, you can tell she's mixed. So I think there's a bit of confusion because it's like, right, who are these people? Why are they together? Why are they mixing? And it's quite sad because you know that's why they're looking at you. You know, they just shouldn't. They should just be minding their own business. They should be just getting on with their lives. However, they feel they have the right to stand, look at you, and stare, and that's the part I don't get is that you've seen me and my partner and decided to stop whatever you're doing and to stare because you are in disgust or you can't believe it, you know, and it's like, okay. And, you know, my wife was so in tune to it. She was like, yeah, it is what it is. Then, you know, when we went abroad, it was even worse. You know, we went to Italy. Yeah, we went to Italy. Like, I mean, Italy's a racist country. We all know that. Italy was quite bad. Like, I'm talking, people would stop and like walk behind us and like look at us. I was like, what the hell? I remember being in Prague and where me and my cousins were there, and there was people asking to take pictures with us because they hadn't seen black people. You know, like seriously, like, and this was like what 7 years ago, something. When me and my partner have been to, in fact, wherever we've travelled, actually, let me not lie, wherever we've travelled, we have been victims of it, and now we just amuse them by, you know, Save the Last Dance, the scene where the old lady is looking at the black and white couple, and it's like, yeah, let's amuse them. So now I'll just say to her, sit on my lap, you know, or come here, give me a kiss and stuff, because, do you know, who is anyone to tell you who to like, love, or be with because of their skin color? You know, this is my opinion, and I just think that when we do know there are cultures where they, let's not say promote, but they would prefer you to date the same race. I think to myself, you know, I say to myself, do what makes you happy. You know, it shouldn't really matter if the person's black, white, whatever. But if they are different, then cool. It means that you get to learn about another culture, another creed, another race, another community. So, and you get to mix. Do you know what I'm saying? So, yeah. So
that's really interesting that you said that you guys get it mainly from like the older generation, because like for me, I find it's maybe like our generation, and it's mainly from black guys. I get it.
do you
It's
know
from a
what?
lot.
Do you
It's
know what?
also
Yeah.
from like white folk as well, though. Like, and it usually will be like there'll be like a look, and then there'll be like a double take. You know what I mean? And they're like, oh, and then you're kind of like, all right. But then one thing I have realized is me and my partner, if we see another interracial couple, we're usually like, yeah, yeah, totally, like a little bit of a mental high five. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Just like, I see you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I see it.
Do you know the funny thing is, right?
Mm.
There's so much ignorance in every community, in every race, right? And you know, when people says there's no fire without smoke, you know, like some people, not everyone, no matter if you're black, white, whatever, will just see something and be like, that's not right, you know? And it's you can't do that. You know, the look, they won't say it, but their facial expressions. And when you say they look and they're like, yeah, for me, you know, idiots. Do you know what? Because you don't know those people. Okay, you don't know the struggle they've probably had to go through to be together. And also, what I say to people, you don't know the struggle of interracial couples 70, 80 years ago,
Right.
where the white woman would be abandoned, abomination basically, because she was dating a Negro. You know how their lives have been. So it's people like them that have paved the way to be different. In fact, is it different? Because what is different? You know, do you know? So I take that back. It's not. They've paved the way to be free and to basically be able to express yourself. And if it means that you find a man from the black community attractive, so be it. You know, and you know what people forget that you know, when you find someone attractive, you don't look at their skin color. You know, it's the person. You know,
Yeah.
and then if they happen to be black, white, or whatever, it is what it is. You know,
Yeah.
and then you know, I'm gonna segue into this where that also leads into more conversations. So, if Lizzie, if you were a white female and we got together, so where are you from? Well, actually, you could tell me you're bloody Italian, but I live in Scotland. Do you know what I'm trying to say? Like, you know, um, people say seeing is believing, you know, but for me, it is that you need to invest and like ask questions. It's all about being inclusive at the same time. But these people before us, Lizzie, have paved the way where, you know, they have fought. So when I do see white people stare at me and my wife, or when I see black people stare at me and my wife, I'm just like, yo, I've got time. So if you want to stare at us, keep watching. Do you know what I mean? You're about to see something special. Do you know what I'm trying to say? Yeah, and you know, leading on to that, Lizzie, I mean, how is your mental state when these things happen? Mentally, you know, and obviously it was World Mental Health Day a few days ago. You know, and I think what we don't talk about is black people's mental health.
We do not, and if I'm absolutely honest, I think we should do like a whole episode on that, because we can really dive into that shit, man. Like, holy fuck. But in answer to your question, I was just gonna say, which kind of ties in, like, you're so right, because you were like, to be different, right? Being with someone of a different race, but you're like, but that's how like society has like coined it. Like, we technically, in some people's eyes, we should be together because we're the same color.
Yes,
You
and
know
I'm
what?
glad you said that, Lizzie. Yeah.
Like,
100%,
and like
100%.
when I first started having like getting into relationships and stuff like that, and like with white guys, I felt like I was going against the grain of what people expected from me. And I was like, I would be like, yeah, fuck all you guys, I'm with a white guy, yeah. But it's like, but you're right, it's almost like, and to be fair, you know what? See, when I was younger, I probably did date some white guys because I was like, you can't expect me to be with a black man because I'm black. You know what I mean? And it's like, even if people are more switched on back in that time, I mean, I'm pure talking like I'm from like this is the 50s or whatever, but like, like 10 or so years ago, people were still expecting you to be like, oh, me to be like, oh, it's my boyfriend Bobby, we're both black. You know what I mean? Like,
But Lizzie, if you done that, if you introduced me as your boyfriend, Bobby, they wouldn't even, the conversation or the topic wouldn't come up because they'd see me like, do you know what I mean? Then
yeah,
they'd probably want to get to know me. This
yeah,
is the
yeah.
point. It's the obstacle, the hazard, because I can imagine if when you brought your partner home, or even back in the day, and they saw, oh, he's white, and it's like, that pause, and
Yeah.
it's like, okay, and do you know that's why, like, we're the new generation. We are the up and coming generation. I've said it before and I'll say it again on many people's podcasts. Interracial couples are, it's not a fetish, it's not a thing. It's
Nah.
it's normal. And you know
It's
what?
normal.
I don't like this word normal, because what is normal? Like, all jokes aside, I'm no one important to be like, this is how things should be. I'm just a guy, like you're just another guy. I'm just another human being. There's normal. What is normal? To be happy,
I
to
mean,
be in love, to be, to be happy with someone. It
yeah.
in people's eyes, on people's communities, some people think that me and you should be together, And who knows? You never know. If I'd met you years ago, you never know. Do you know what I'm saying? But my point is that it's not just ourselves or the external critics or haters. It can also be the internal community, where our community can be, what you're doing. Do you know? I remember walking through London, and my partner was approached by a couple of black females and was like, what are you doing with him? Can't you get your own? And I was thinking, wow, really? Whoa. I was just like, yo, relax, fall back. And I just kept moving. But my partner was like, no, if they want the smoke, they can have the smoke. And I'm just like, it's cool. Like, don't entertain it. And I just said to them, I said to my partner, I said, those are the people that are the minority, that instead of seeing you as a threat, other females should be like, other black females should see you like, yeah, she's going to embrace the culture. She's going to be one of us, And it's funny, due to my age and stuff, I have loads of white cousins from West Lothian, right? And it's interesting, that they got the opposite treatment, because their stepdad was black, but their mom was white and stuff. They're like, no, you can't be a part of us. And like, no, like, for me, going back to the partner. Sorry, I'm going off topic here.
It's all right.
It's just I keep thinking of stuff. My partner, when at the time, she was like, how dare they tell me what I can do or can't do? Because you're the same race as my partner, you can tell me, you can advise him, order him who to and be with. No, that's not the case. In London, obviously, like, they were very like aggressive and stuff. But to that, we laughed it off, because they must have saw us be happy and
Mhm.
thought, we need to go and put an end to this. But what they learned was that we were more stronger in that category where, yeah, you can't just chat to me anyhow or chat to my partner anyhow. And going on from that, Lizzie, it's like people always, I feel like people are always telling us what you should do and what you have to do or what we'd want you to do. When
Mhm.
we were brought up, we were told to do what makes you happy,
Yeah.
right? And do what makes you happy, because when you do what makes you happy, where is the problem? Because the problem doesn't lie with you or with you and your partner. It lies with the external people from the outside looking in. And I have to touch on this. It can also lie with your family.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, because you can have problems. If your family doesn't like your partner, then you can have a choice. You know,
Yeah.
so and this is where the mental health comes in, because
Yeah.
what do you do? Do you succumb to the pressure of the external hatred, dysfunctionality, or do you stand tall? If you're going to have to stand tall on your own, stand tall, and I repeat, do what makes you happy. Because do you
Yeah.
know, like, I'm so glad you said, Lizzie, we should be together because we're both black. But me and you might not get on. Do you know what I'm trying to say? Like, do you know?
Exactly.
Oh, there's Lizzie, a black girl. All right, let me holler at you. Do you know what I mean?
Ah,
Yo, Lizzie,
but that's
you,
fine.
like, do you know what I mean? Like, we might have differences where we don't get on, or I know we do get on. Don't get me wrong. But what I'm saying is that we might have stuff where we don't get on, or it just doesn't click, or it doesn't happen.
Mm-hmm.
So what? Are we supposed to force it?
Exactly, just because we're the same color.
You know what I
Like,
mean?
and which might I even add, like, if we're even going to start doing that type of thing, it's like we're technically not even the same color. Like,
Well,
we're both black, brown.
exactly. No,
But
we identify as black, don't we? Do you know what I
yeah,
mean? And it does strike me, but we need to be respectful, because there are couples out there that are black on black or Asian on
no,
Asian and Eastern
totally.
European and
And
Eastern.
that's and, like to say that this
100%
is
respect it. Yeah, what we're talking
yeah,
about today is just that interracial coupling, and like, you know, I still don't understand why it gets called interracial, because it's like, why are we so quick to label things? Why can't you just say that? Yeah, there's a couple. Do you know what I'm trying to say? Like,
yeah, yeah,
if I saw you, I'm not gonna lie. If I saw you and your partner, I'd elbow my wife like, oi. Do you know what I mean? I'd salute them,
yeah.
because, and
Oh,
the reason I'd salute you is because I I know and understand the troubles you've probably had or going to get, and I
mm-hmm,
salute you guys because you're doing it together. But at
mm-hmm.
the same time, you know, I should still see you just as a couple, not as a black and
Oh,
white
exactly.
woman, right? So you could say I'm guilty of it as well, you know?
Ah, but that's like going back to what you were saying about it, like what is normal. And it's like, unfortunately, we live, not unfortunately. So fortunately, we live in Scotland, right? And Scotland's a fucking beautiful place, full of beautiful people. It's majoritarily white, and unfortunately, the norm is to see white on white or black on black, because when folk uh, immigrated here,
Yeah,
you know, you would find that the older generation would tend to stick in their own communities,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
So our generation is now all about, like you're saying, mixing it up, because we're like, well, I mean, we're in that weird like bit where it's like, from the older generation, it's like, oh, but you should be with a black man, or you should be with a black woman. And from our generation, it's like, well, you know what, actually, no, I can be with whoever the fuck I want. You know what I mean?
exactly. Do you
And
know?
it's like,
You
oh,
can be Chinese. Do you know what I
yeah,
mean? Like, if we get on, we
exactly,
get on. Do you know what I mean? And
exactly.
and do you know, like, I might sound very stereotypical, and I hope I don't. And if I do, I apologize.
Hmm.
Um, like we've talked about white communities and stuff. Do you know, like, one thing that brings people together is food, right?
Yeah.
Okay, right. I see you're smiling now. Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you know? Even if you do date someone without your outside your race, do you know like you're learning, you know? You're like, oh, is this how you guys do it? Oh, this is how we do it. And then
Mhm.
you what's the word I'm looking for? You compare,
Mm.
you learn, you taste different things, you try different things, you do
Mm.
things differently,
Mm.
um and also like you learn more about yourself as an individual, you know.
You really do, eh?
Yeah,
Like I
and
feel.
it's feel so sorry, before you go in, you become more open-minded,
Mhm.
very open-minded, because who's to say, and I'll give you an example, right? Give you an example. This is a very good example, and I use it with quite a lot of people. When I dated my partner, who's now my wife, I used to use a certain body cream, Vaseline, and I used to use it for everything.
Mhm.
And she said to me, she's like, "Oh, why do you do that?" I was like, "Oh, my skin's really dry. This is what I use.
Mm.
This is what I've always used." I said to me, she went, "Yeah, but it's for your skin." I was like, "Yeah, I know it's for my skin." She went, "No." She's like, "Because you've got this kind of skin, you need to go to the shop and actually look at other products. Because all this was doing was just, it wasn't really helping my skin. It was like a layer."
Yeah.
No, I'd been doing that all my life prior.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So, like, I'm not saying a black girl or African or Caribbean girl would have helped me with that, but I'm just
Mhm.
saying that because my partner is mixed race, well, she is mixed race,
Mhm.
she does things differently with creams and skincare. And then,
Mhm.
I was like, oh, wow, no, I wouldn't have known that. Do you know what I mean? It's the little things like that, and it changes you. Now, obviously, my skin's on fleek, obviously, you know, you know what I mean? But sorry, what were you going to say?
Oh no, I was just gonna say like because you were saying when it comes to like dating someone from another like race or whatnot and like comparisons and like things that you learn um I find that well I found with like my relationship now like um Callum is his name's Callum um Callum is from a really good background like um he's got three younger brothers like the family is like absolutely amazing
You've got to
and
say
his
that.
parents managed to provide for them really well my mum also provided for me and my sister like as well as she could but because she was black and moved over here she had a much more difficult time which meant
Yeah.
that maybe the area that we were living in wasn't the greatest you know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean so like me and Callum have like um bonded. I'm holding my hand here because he's in the spare room, so it's like I'm like yes. So like I found that me and him have we're like very similar. We're unbelievably similar with really
Mm-hmm.
two completely opposite backgrounds.
Mm-hmm.
So I've learned a lot from him, and I hope that he's learned a lot from me in terms of like um because everyone's judgmental, you know what I mean? I'm judgmental like sometimes just from the way that like I've
It's
been
human
brought up.
nature. It's human
it
nature.
is it is like from the way that I've been brought up like I'm more likely to be like oh well that person looks like they're quite well off, they might be quite privileged, they might be, you know what I mean, but then he brings me back down to earth, you know what I mean, and he's like well you can't do that, like you can't say that, but like you're saying it is human nature to be judgmental, like when people are like oh I don't judge, I'm like all right okay see you later. Like
Maybe not outside, but inside your house you probably do. But yeah,
yeah.
look, some people don't. But let's, do you know what I mean? Like, let's be honest here, and people that are watching, this is just me and Lizzie's opinions. Um,
Mm.
I get what you're saying though, because I think a relationship is a compliment. You compliment each other. You know.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I always say these things like love doesn't pay the bills. Do you know what I mean? So you've got to be at least decent or entertaining for me to stick with you. But no, um, no. What I'm saying is that you do compliment each other, and it has to work. Be more cohesive, more transparent.
Yeah.
It's not just like, yeah, I love you, we're together forever. No, like
Yeah.
you have to be compatible, and it's
Mm-hmm.
what's the word I'm looking for? It's begins with C. Uh, Not compatible. Oh my god, this word's gonna. It's
What does it mean?
Pardon?
What does it mean? What does the word mean?
It's like you give and give and you get back. It's like compromise. That's it.
Oh, right,
Compromise. Yeah, compromise. It's all about compromising, and if you click, it's easy to compromise. And it doesn't
Yeah.
really matter because we might all have different colours of skin, but we could potentially have the same personalities, same interests and stuff. And I think when I was growing up, most of the black females I saw were either my sister's friends or they were my aunties or women from the church, or my mom's friends or my dad's friends. There's not really many people my age, But the funny thing was that I've got a personality and I'm very outspoken, but not that I'm to offend anyone when I speak. I'm just like, yeah, why not? And I feel like that's helped me through my relationship. I'm married now, so I've done okay. But it's interesting, and I see. I know a few of my black friends do have white partners. They live in London, or one of my cousins lives in Texas. He just got married a couple of months ago to a white woman.
Oh, nice.
It's common. It's I hate to use the word normal common, but I don't have a word. It is what it is. And
but that's the thing. I think it's more normal, like for us, and seeing our black pals or family members then dating someone of a different race, where it is more normal, but we have to use that word because it's been made not normal through society.
Yeah.
So we are, it's annoying that we have to be me and Cam are trying to make it normal for people to see, interracial couples in the street and that, but it's still not normal, because if it was, we'd see a lot more of it. But then also,
exactly.
we see more of it down south because there is a higher percentage of black and people of color down south. You know what I mean? Or in the state. I feel like we're in a very niche. We're having a very niche experience because there's not many black folk in Edinburgh. You know what I mean?
No,
in Scotland,
100%, 100%. And what we're saying here is that before COVID and stuff, we'd go out, we'd socialize, we'd go to nightclubs, you'd go out for dinner, blah blah. I'd majority only go to the hip hop clubs, so I knew I was going to see black people there. So you were going to meet different kinds of people there. Whether it be from all different races, but it's all about preference. I think it's preference, and it's just I could meet. For example, what's the word? Oh my god! When it comes to cooking, I love food. So when it comes to cooking and stuff, my wife's half Algerian, so she would do an Algerian dish, and I'd watch her because I'd be like, right, I know this tastes good, so I'm gonna learn, right? And when I say preference, it's that I've invested into this person, so I want to learn as much as possible about them, and it's all about preference. But we grew up in I grew up in a society where it was made known to me that I should date a black woman because it was the preference. It was just how it was, and I used to laugh, okay, so what? Do you want me to pick up one of my sister's friends? Wait till she gets a bit older. I'm like, yeah, come here. Do you know what I mean? Do you know what I'm trying to say? But I think I do hope people do look at us, and I hope people don't look at us, because at the same time, look at us like, oh wow, good looking couple. Oh wow, nice young fun couple. Whatever, but don't put the interracial, oh look, there's a black guy and a white woman. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you do get stupid and ignorant people that make stupid jokes, very typical jokes, and it's still sad. And do you know the funny thing is that you can still be happy yet someone will always have a problem.
Oh, totally. Most definitely. Do you feel like I feel like because our generation so much is changing, like I feel like because you're like, you want people to stare because you want to be like, that's a really good looking couple, but you don't want people to stare because they're like, oh, a black person and a white person.
Yeah.
Like part of me is just kind of like, you know what, if I can help in educating people, and whether that's just like being me and Callum being the first interracial couple that maybe like a young kid sees, or someone who's lived like butt fuck nowhere up north and has never seen a black person in their life.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Part of me is like, all right, okay, cool. You know what I mean? Like this is normal. Like,
yeah. And do you know what? It's good you talk about education and stuff. Do you know some households will reject it, some households would open it, and when we go to a household and we're accepted, we're even more happier because you see I'm black and you don't care if I'm black, you accept it and you respect it and you acknowledge. And when you acknowledge, you find out that they want to know more about you because, do you know what, Lizzie? I mean, let's be honest. Every parent should want their child to be happy. And for a woman, every mum would want to make sure that they pick someone that's going to not secure them or but make them happy, and feel secured and stuff like that. What does it matter what they look like? do you know what I'm trying to say? Like, what does it actually matter? And let's segue into the final topic.
I have a question.
Oh, you have a question? Oh, okay.
I do. I have a question. How have you guys found it from when the movement kicked off back in May, at the end of May, with George Floyd? And so, for instance, I ask because me and my boyfriend, that's when we really started noticing more things, like people noticing us being interracial or whatever, or like even just drawing more attention to how we're both treated individually and then as a unit. Oh fudge, what was my question? Right, yeah. So basically, like, how have you guys found it? Because Callum's learning a lot. So there'll be things that happen or we'll see on our social medias or whatever. And, his first instinct might be like, why didn't that person go to the police? Or that person might have mental health issues. And I'm genuinely like, but you can't think like that because we can't think like that. Like, that's not how society has
programmed us.
Society isn't safe for us, so we can't think like that. So then I'm then also like, when we have kids, our kids are going to be black. They're going to be mixed race. So I'm like, not you need to, but I'm like, I want you to understand, like, as much as you can, that, like, our kid might come home from school one day and be like, oh, this guy called me a nigger or whatever, and we can't then be like, oh, the kid's probably just got like a really bad background or buzz at the next thing, because then we're gaslighting our own children. You know what I mean? Like, that's not support. And it's like, and so it's just funny. So how have you guys found it? Like, and how do you find it having a mixed race child as well, actually?
So she's mixed race, so
fair.
So she's North African. So she's had racial treatment all her childhood. She's always the kid where, oh, where are you from? You've got a nice tan. No, this is actually my skin color. How we dealt with it, to be honest with you, I have a lot of relatives, a lot of cousins in America, spread it out. So, and I'm very, very, we communicate quite a lot through WhatsApp, FaceTime and stuff like that. So we stay up to date with stuff. I'm into politics. I'm into history and stuff. So I keep up to date with the news over there and how people are being treated, and I've had racism in my life, and I'm probably going to have it going forward. We dealt it with my wife's very passionate,
Mhm.
And she's very encouraging and motivational.
Mhm.
And she says to me, she says, I will walk to the end of hell with you if it
Oh.
means this is what we're going to have to do to make sure our son
Mhm.
doesn't go through what we went through, you know. And I think that's where your partner, my partner, are a bit different in the sense because what
Yeah.
we had, she had it, you know.
Mhm.
Like she's been attacked and stuff like that when she was younger.
Mhm.
She still gets attacked now, do you know? With stupid little comments that people, it's like casual racism comments.
Yeah.
And the way we've dealt with it is really, George Floyd dying, I'm not surprised. It doesn't
Mhm.
shock me because it's happened before, you know. So we are aware of this. We went to the protest, and
Mhm.
she was just saying to me that I'm with you all the way, and I was just like,
Mhm.
yeah, I'm with you all the way. How we've dealt with it is just that our son's mixed race, so he needs
Mhm.
to accept that there are not some one community is gonna treat you like the other community, or the other community is gonna treat you like the other community. But we want to know. We make sure that his identity is known. We teach
Yeah.
him his culture. I was going to say my culture, but no, it's his culture. His culture
Mhm.
is the Nigerian African culture. His culture is the Scottish culture because he's mixed. And we do talk. Obviously, he's only 2.5, but I mean, we do stuff and we say stuff. We make sure we sing songs. We make sure that he's happy. We've dealt it by sticking together. That's probably the best way to answer it because what we're seeing now, Lizzie, me, you, and my wife, is just being repeated and repeated and
Yeah.
repeated. Just being reported in a different way. Or this time,
Mhm.
people have died. So it's not the case of that how we've coped because we've been coping the same kind of hatred from families, from
Mhm.
external people, from countries, and we're so tight knitted that this won't happen to our son. No chance.
Yeah.
Um, that's why, for example, I do the podcast. I am the
Mhm.
network guy, the BAME head of the BAME network. I am the Black Unison also in Edinburgh. Um,
Mhm.
I I want to change so much, and like my wife is behind me. She's my biggest fan. Um,
Mhm.
and she also makes sure I stay on top of updates of
Mhm.
legislations and policies. She's saying to me,
Mhm.
you need to know this, you need to read this, because being in an interracial couple, um,
Mhm.
you're always going to have problems, and I'm very fortunate that when we hear of problems globally, we are reacting in the same way. So it's probably a different conversation that we have. So, for example, with George Floyd about people say, oh, mental health issues, or in fact, let's not even say George Floyd. Okay, let's just put a scenario. Okay,
Mhm.
you said you guys get treated different individually. Now, let me make an example here. When I go out with my wife, she gets the taxi. She stops the taxi,
Mm.
right? Okay. Now, when I go out with my best friend Jordan, who's white, but he's Italian, okay, that's his heritage, he gets the taxi. Now,
Mm.
why? Because when I go for it, or my black cousins or my black friends, taxis don't stop for us. Okay, that's how we get treated individually. So that's just to give people an insight of how we're being treated and stuff. And I've been approached by police because of the way I look and because there was a disruption. I was
Mhm.
standing with my wife. She was part of my time, and they asked her, "Are you okay?" But they pressured me, questioning and stuff, and they asked her, "Are you okay? Has he done anything towards you?" And
What?
hopefully she's like, we're together. What do you do?
Yeah.
You know, it's stuff like that. And she sees stuff that happens to me and she's like, no. So I don't think it's all about like coping. It's the mechanism is just that we already know, you know, we expect it. So there's no surprise. So
Yeah.
we just make sure we stay updated, because knowledge is power. I don't care what anyone
Yeah.
says. And we just, you know, we both have accepted that we're going to have that talk with our son, you know,
Mm-hmm.
to say, you are different, you know, you are a mix. And you know what? He's not different. He's special. He's unique, you know, because he's got Nigerian blood in him. He's got Algerian blood, and he's got Scottish blood in him. Do you know what I'm trying to say? So, like, you know, so yeah. So I hope that answers the question, to be honest.
It was a very. I feel like it was quite a broad question. As I
No,
realised.
because like, it's a good question to ask, because let's segue it back to you. Your partner now, obviously, he's probably never been exposed to stuff like this before, you know. So he's asking questions like, "Oh, why didn't he go to the?" Because society and institutional racism, they said that if me and you go to the police station, we're going to be there a long time.
Yeah.
You know, let's be honest. But if he goes, he'll be seen to straight away. You know, and this is. So what you said?
Aye.
You know
Sorry,
what
I'm
I'm
just
trying to
gonna say.
say?
One of the things I was gonna. So one of the things that I say to him when we talk about this is like, you know, when we have kids, our kids going to be black, they're going to be mixed race, right?
They'll
So
be mixed race, but they'll be seen as black. Let's be
yeah,
honest.
exactly. So if you know something happens at school, you
Mm-hmm.
know, if I go in, I will get on my own. I will get treated in a certain way. Either if something's happened and I'm in like I disagree with it, I'll be an angry black woman. You know what I
Aggressive.
mean?
Yep.
But if he goes in, he'll get treated like, oh, I'm so sorry, like Bobz and
Come in. How are you doing?
I talk about this a lot because I'm like, you know, there's going to be times where like if something's happened with our kid and someone's been like racially aggressive towards them or whatever, like you're going to have to go in. Because for me, I can be a bit of a hothead sometimes, so I'm probably not best to go in. You know what I mean? But
You're not a hothead. You're just very passionate.
yeah, I'm passionate. Exactly. Oh, thanks. Yeah. But yeah, like we've spoken about it, and he's like, "Wow, right," and like he genuinely, like I see him like sort of, like take the information in and like consider it, and then like a few days later, he'll probably ask me a few questions about things and this and like, so it's yeah, it's just mad that like that's how like our life will have to be, and we like me and Callum and yourself and Sonia, is it? Sorry. Yeah, yourself and Sonia.
Yeah.
Like we're having mixed race kids that will be seen as black. Um and hopefully we can only raise them to, you know, continue to either mix or not mix. But just, you know, like you were saying, do what makes you happy. Be with who you want to fucking be with.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know?
Exactly.
Hopefully it won't be like, you know, my kid won't come home and be like, oh, mum, I'm with a white guy. It's normal now. I'll be like, it's just, hopefully it's just like, oh, I'm with this person. You know,
Yes.
we're not fucking
Yeah.
talking about like, if they're black, if they're white, if they're Latino, if they're, you know what I mean? Like it's.
Yeah. And do you know, I'm glad you said that, because it's just I don't know what's happening here with the computer. Just
Sorry.
to finalize and cap on that, you know, we have a duty of care, Lizzie.
Mm-hmm.
You know, to not just to ourselves, to our partners, but to, you know, when we have kids, you know, we have a duty of care to teach them, you know, the word normal and the word common. I hate it, because there's no such thing as normal. You know, like in my opinion, that's my opinion. And you know, like you said there, we're gonna have to teach them, stand up for them, and raise them so they can just do what makes them happy. And that's why I always say to you, like, we're the new generation of
Yeah.
black people, because the older generation, we have been programmed to do what makes them happy. You
Mm-hmm.
know, And you might not come into that under that umbrella, but I did, you know.
Yeah.
And excuse me, you know, and some of my cousins will probably say the same. You know, it probably wasn't until 15 years ago where mindset started to be changed. People started being more modern, more open-minded, you know. And then I think that's why I touched on mental health, because a lot of black kids rebel, you know. They go rogue. They go like, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, you know. However, that's why, like, with our son, I want him to, we will bring him up in a way where it will just be, do what makes you happy, you know.
Mm.
Who knows, you know, he might want to do ballet or something like that. It is what it is. Support him. Do you know
Yeah.
that? Do you know what I'm trying to say? It's like, let's get away from all these categories and these labels, you know, of like, oh, you know. And I know back in the day, and I say back in the day, I'm talking 15 years ago, or maybe even 10, that some of my friends that were dating white girls would be saying, oh, you can't meet my parents because they wouldn't approve of me dating a black guy. But they'd date him and have two secret lives and stuff, or they'd have to sit down with their parents, say, I've met someone, he's black. That would be the first thing they'd talk about, because they have to acknowledge the elephant in the room. Yeah, do you know what I mean? And yeah. But on that note, we will conclude the second episode of the Bobby and Lizzie Black History Month show. And I thought it was quite good, actually. I like that.
I really enjoyed that, and I like how we touched on like mental health, and I think personally that's what we should talk about next week.
Yes, and I think we should touch on that next week, because I think we will both be able to give an insight of being black, obviously, and also being able to identify what was mental health, because I know I've had anxiety attacks, I've had panic attacks, and you know, when mental health was labeled and stuff, you're like, wow, actually, you know, what was I thinking? Because I wasn't in a good place. So, guys, safe to say there's no beef between me and Lizzie. Look out for the next episode. Please like, share, and discuss, guys, because being inclusive is to be involved, is to learn, okay, and it's also to help. And obviously, it was World Mental Health Day just a few days ago. So, guys, if you're watching this, you're not on your own. Please pick up the phone, text someone. There's always someone there willing to help. Okay, Lizzie, thanks again, and I'll speak to you very soon.
See you soon.
Bye.